Hello, Dons. Obviously, this week has been a crazy week, and with lots of questions from students, parents, and people of the Pleasant community, we went out to interview Principal Jon Fey to get some insight on what is happening with the small gym and what is in store for the future. What was the hardest thing to deal with the fire?
I think the hardest thing to deal with regarding the response to the fire was working with our agencies on the timeline for restoring a power. I think if we had had our building inspector that had come with full intention and support of certifying the plan to restore power to the campus, we would have had power back on sometime in first period, which was the original plan anyways. So I think that was the most difficult, was to try and mitigate their conversations and their struggles with regards to who is going to take jurisdiction on the actual certification to PG&E. But that's what I think was the most difficult, because I knew that students were suffering and teachers were struggling to try and also come up with ways in order to be able to keep kids engaged, because we didn't have the ability to access Wi-Fi and things of that nature.
What happens next for the school? Will this affect the school year?
Well, the small gym is the integral part of the programs and the support to the programs that we offer. So it's definitely going to impact us as a school between now and the rest of the school year. My hope is that the insurance company and the district work together to get this repaired. Right now, we have the restoration has started. They've already cleaned up the girls' locker room. They're going to work on the office next, the girls' PE office, and then they're going to move to the cafeteria and the gym. And the gym, once the cleanup happens, then the repairs can happen. And depending on how fast they can do it, maybe we might get it before the end of the school year, but get it back before the end of the school year. I don't know, and I haven't heard any timelines projected out beyond just this week, which was the priority was to get the girls' locker room cleaned up so that we can get PE clothes out and get issued back to students so that they can start dressing up for PE again.
Will this affect AP testing, since in previous years it was held at the small gym?
So yes, this is going to affect AP testing. We feel like that, and again, we don't know if it will actually still last beyond into that month of May, but we're anticipating it and we're planning for it so that we are not caught off guard and having to scramble at the last minute to find a solution for testing so many students. So Mr. Nelson, who is in charge of AP testing, is already working on an alternative plan for being able to offer the tests so that we can get everybody the opportunity to take those tests.
How hard was it to negotiate all the issues on campus in addition to all the rumors being fed on social media?
So I mentioned trying to get the agencies and the different agency representatives to work together in order to certify the PG&E plan. I also we received about 15 to 20 emails from parents and students with some interesting stories of things that were happening on campus that were not true. And so one of the things that I did was I responded to every single email that I received, as well as emails that were received at the district office, with clarification, with letting parents know, for example, that there was no gas leak. That was the rumor that was going out there, that we shouldn't be holding school because of a gas leak. There was never, ever a gas leak. There was a rumor about smoke being filled into classrooms, and we had checked every single classroom, and there was no smoke in any of the classrooms. As a matter of fact, with power off, it's difficult to pull air in when the power is not working, when the fire was actually engaging. So we we know that the fire, and again, we know that the smoke wasn't in there because we did the classroom checks at the time. So there was a lot of interesting stories that we were getting as far as emails that were coming into us. And so as of yesterday, I replied and responded to every parent and student who sent me or the district an email in order to just provide the clarity of what was really happening on campus, and also the fact of the process that we went through of the decision making that went into the decision to still hold school.
Do you know who actually made the 911 call?
Yeah, so the person who made the 911 call was one of our janitors, one of our custodians who was on campus at the time and working, who saw the smoke. He contacted his supervisor, and the supervisor said, call 911 right away. And so he hung up and called 911 immediately. If it weren't for him seeing the smoke, and although I will tell you, the alarm system did engage, and we do have a sprinkler system in the small gym, and it also worked. And so both of those systems helped to notify authorities and also to keep the fire from spreading even further. But I will tell you that the 911 call was critical in getting responders here as quickly as they did. And I think it was also critical that to the reason why the fire didn't spread to other parts of the building.
Have you received any feedback from parents or students regarding how the school handled the issues around the fire?
So as I mentioned earlier, we did receive about 15 to 20 emails from community members and students, all of which were responded to. All of them had great feedback. We really appreciated their perspective. I think one of the things that I try and do is I try and understand from that parent's perspective, because I am a parent and I understand what the safety of my child means to me. And so I thought it was important to make sure that I acknowledged that they had feedback for me that we took into consideration as we went through the day, and even as we reflect on the things that happened that day. We value their perspective, we value their input, and I also acknowledge where they were coming from. They were coming from a place that cares about their kids, and so I can never fault a parent for caring about their own child. That being said, we were able to respond with clarification on all of their parents' issues and all of our students' questions and concerns, and just I think providing the clarity has really helped for an understanding in terms of what went into the decision making for that day.
Will this speed up the construction process of the new theater building?
So that has been asked and discussed. I don't anticipate that it will, but there is going to be, I think, a level of consideration with regards to, because we're dealing with our insurance company with regards to the damage and the repairs. I think there is going to be some consideration in terms of how much it's going to cost to repair versus how much money we are spending on actually rebuilding. So I think it's something that will probably be considered, whether the damage or whether the fire lends itself to any kind of change of timeline. I don't have any indication that it would, but I know that it's a reasonable discussion to have with regards to how do we best spend our money with regards to insurance claims and versus money that would be going to construction that's already going to happen. I think one of the things that we would consider in that too, though, is the immediate need of that facility. We rely on it. We rely on it for classroom space. We rely on it for our activities, having a place to practice and rehearse. And So as I said earlier, this is a critical space, and it's a big effect to our ability to be able to support our athletic programs and our winter guard and winter percussion programs and our PE classes. So I think if there was a way to spend the money that actually showed that we could get it back early, I think that it would be a wise expenditure of those funds that the insurance would be covering in order for us to be able to get that space back. Obviously, if we're talking about new construction, we're talking about 12 months. I mean, it's going to be 12 to 18 months of construction. We'd have to wait that long to get that space back. And so, and without any other space for us to go to and no plans to do so, I think just saying, oh yeah, let's move it up and destroy it and rebuild it would put us in a longer term problem with very little time to plan. And so I think that if there's a way to be able to get the space back quicker, I think that would be better for the school in the long run, where again, like when we know it's going to go down, we know that we're going to have these backup plans and these other things in place that have been in the works for months and months and months. So I think that in the long run, it's going to be talked about. I think it would be a good idea to talk about, but I don't necessarily know that it's going to change the timeline at all.
This has been Audrey Coombs with AV TV News.